Tuesday, Pam Bondi leaked documents, former Attorney General, 47 pages, according to newly surfaced records. Trump's already responding. I've been going through this. Here's what I found. Monday night, everything looked fine. Tuesday morning, documents hit. By afternoon, full meltdown. The filing shows communication between Bondi's office and federal investigators, 23 emails, internal memos, phone logs. Trump's team issued a statement. Bondi's lawyer went silent. You saw the headlines, damning leaks, furious response. Here's what they missed. Quick context. Pam Bondi, former Florida Attorney General, served 2011 to 2019, later worked in Trump's administration during his first term. The issue? Communications between her office and investigators examining 2024 campaign finance activities. Timeline, fast version, weeks back. Investigators requested records from former administration officials. Days later, Bondi's legal team started negotiations about what gets released. Monday said that's the setup. Now, the documents. What makes this different? Bondi wasn't just any official. She defended Trump during his first impeachment. Close ally, trusted voice, which is why these leaks matter. The communications cover meetings, strategy sessions, legal advice, all from when she was serving as a senior advisor. Nobody expected her files to surface. They did. Trump's calling it betrayal. Bondi's team says compliance with federal subpoena. Both things can be technically true. The documents are public record now, filed with the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. That's verifiable. What's in them? That's what we're breaking down. Okay, the evidence. First document, filed Monday. I pulled page 18. It says, quoting here, communications regarding fundraising activities were marked for legal review. That's not my take, that's the filing. What it means? Somebody flagged internal discussions for potential legal problems. But here's what got me. Page 31, different section. A memo from Bondi's office to campaign finance coordinators, dated March 2024. The memo outlines $4.2 million in donor contributions that required, quote, additional documentation. Put those together. Yeah, questions were being raised internally. I went through this twice. Patterns clear. March 2024, internal audit flags irregularities. April 2024, legal team brought in. May 2024, communications with Federal Oversight Office begin. All documented. Now, what nobody's covering. Page 39 shows a different timeline. Email thread between Bondi and campaign treasurer. 11 messages over 48 hours. Subject line, Delaware LLC structure, urgent. Read that again. That changes this. The emails discuss routing donor money through a Delaware registered entity. Not illegal on its face, but the timing matters. This happened 3 weeks before the initial audit. Then there's Exhibit D, phone logs showing 7 calls between Bondi's office and a Nevada-based consulting firm. Total duration, 4 hours, 23 minutes. Same firm that managed fundraising operations in 5 swing states. Fallout? Federal investigators now examining the Delaware entity. Campaign treasurer placed on administrative leave. Nevada firm dissolved its political operations division. Within 11 days. But wait, there's more in the communications. Page 27 shows internal messages about managing disclosure requirements, legal language, careful phrasing. One line stands out. Defer timeline pending counsel review. First read, thought I misread it. Went back, it's there. Translation, delay releasing information while lawyers figure out what to do. The document trail shows 84 communications over 6 weeks, emails, texts, documented phone calls, all between March and May 2024. Cross-reference that with public statements from the campaign during the same period. They were saying full transparency and immediate cooperation. Internally, different story. Here's what the evidence actually shows. Concerns about donor documentation, rapid legal consultation, entity restructuring, communication management, timeline delays, not speculation, It's in the filing. Page 43 includes a sworn statement from a compliance officer. Says certain donor files were temporarily unavailable during the audit period. Temporarily. For 3 weeks. The officer's name is redacted. Position title isn't. Chief Compliance Officer, Campaign Finance Division. That's a senior position. What documents were unavailable? The filing doesn't specify. It does mention donor records exceeding $250,000 in aggregate contributions. Federal reporting threshold is $200,000 for certain entities. You do the math. That's just the first document. Subscribe, I'm not done. Okay, but look, gotta be fair here. The other side has a point. Few points, actually. Trump's legal team says this is standard document production under federal subpoena. And honestly, some of it holds up. Their argument? Every campaign deals with compliance reviews. Bondi's office was following normal legal procedures. The Delaware LLC was disclosed in quarterly filings. Public record. Nothing in these documents proves wrongdoing, just shows internal legal caution, which is appropriate. Constitutional attorney David Rivkin put it this way: careful legal review isn't evidence of guilt, it's evidence of competence. Don't agree with all of it, but that's not nothing. What they've got: all entities were properly registered. Quarterly disclosures were filed on time. Former White House counsel to Republican administration Stefan Passantino even notes this level of legal consultation is standard for major campaigns. Look, I'm not here to tell you who's right. Investigators' interpretation? Evidence supports it. Pattern of delayed disclosure, restructured entities, careful timing. Defense interpretation? Evidence there too. Normal legal process, proper filings, standard consultation. Both can be true. That's what makes this complicated. What I can tell you, what the documents show. And they show extensive legal maneuvering during a critical audit period. Trump's team argues every step was lawful. Maybe so, but lawful and transparent aren't always the same thing. The documents reveal 23 separate instances where information requests were met with pending legal review. Defense says that's appropriate legal process. Investigators say it's obstruction pattern. Here's where it gets tricky. Campaign finance law professor Richard Hassan points out the line between legal caution and deliberate delay is often subjective. That's the crux. Was Bondi's office being prudent or strategic? Documents don't answer that definitively. What they do show? Timeline of events that investigators found concerning enough to issue subpoenas. Trump's response calls this a witch hunt and weaponized legal system. Strong language. But his supporters see a pattern. Years of investigations, subpoenas, document requests. From their perspective, this is more of the same. Can't dismiss that view entirely. The political context matters. We're in an election cycle. These leaks are public now. Timing raises questions. Who benefits from this becoming public on a Tuesday in May 2026? Defense team is asking that. Fair question. Could be procedural, standard court filing schedule. Could be strategic, maximum political impact. Don't know which. Neither do you. What the documents prove beyond doubt: communications happened, legal consultations occurred, entities were structured in specific ways. Everything else is interpretation. And interpretation depends on which lens you're using. This didn't come out of nowhere. Backstory.quick. Months before these documents surfaced, Federal Oversight Committee announced review of 2024 campaign financing across multiple candidates. Weeks before that, whistleblower complaint filed regarding fundraising irregularities. Source unnamed. Days before the audit began, campaign operations restructured. Delaware LLC formed. Nevada consulting firm brought in. Someone even said on record in a campaign meeting. Make sure everything's documented correctly this time. This time. What happened? Standard procedure became crisis management. Pattern. Initial fundraising through traditional channels. Audit concerns triggered restructuring. Legal team inserted into routine operations. Every time, got away with it. Until Monday. Because here's what changed. Federal investigators weren't looking at one campaign. They were cross-referencing multiple operations, patterns visible across data sets that weren't visible in isolation. Bondi's communications were part of broader discovery. She wasn't the target initially. She became relevant because her office handled legal coordination during the critical period. The fundraising structure used in 2024, similar to structures flagged in 3 other campaigns that year. Investigators noticed. That's when subpoenas went out, not just to Bondi, to 37 former campaign officials across different operations. Her documents happen to be most detailed. That's why they're getting attention. Following the trail? Hit like. Monday, 4:47 p.m. Here's what happened. Documents went public in federal database. Bondi filing unsealed per court order. News broke within minutes. What followed? Trump's Truth Social post at 5:23 p.m. Emergency legal team conference call at 6:15 p.m. Bondi's attorney released statement at 7:40 p.m. 3 hours, that fast. Now, what everyone missed. While people focused on Trump's angry response, something else happened. 2 other former officials' documents were also unsealed. Same court order, same database, less detailed, but similar patterns. Then investigative reporters pulled Delaware corporate filings. That Nevada consulting firm dissolved April 30th, 2026, 6 days before these documents became public. Timing's interesting. Legal counsel for the firm's response? No comment. Wasn't reactive, calculated. You can see it in the corporate dissolution paperwork. Filed expedited, paid premium processing fees, $1,200 versus standard $300. Someone wanted that firm gone quickly. Here's where it gets interesting. The firm's client list is public record in Nevada, required disclosure for political consultants. 2024 clients included 3 campaigns under federal review right now. Documents show Bondi's office communicated with that firm 23 times during the audit period. After Monday's unsealing, former campaign finance director issued statement. Took responsibility for, quote, administrative oversights. Specific language, administrative oversights. Not legal violations, not improper conduct, oversights. Lawyers chose those words carefully. Trump's response on Tuesday morning was different. Called Bondi Pam the backstabber in a Truth Social post. Said she, quote, caved to deep state pressure. 2 different responses, 2 different strategies. One accepts responsibility for minor errors. The other attacks. Legal experts watching this, they're noticing the divergence. Defense strategy splitting. Some defendants cooperating, others resisting. That changes the dynamics. Stay with me. This part matters. What are experts saying? Former Federal Election Commission Chairman Trevor Potter, 23 years in campaign finance law. Document patterns suggest coordinated legal strategy across multiple entities. Plain English, this wasn't one person making mistakes, another one. Former Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Sarah Krisoff. The timeline of entity formation relative to audit initiation raises questions. Key there, timing matters in legal analysis. Here's what's interesting. Even former Trump administration attorney George Conway admits these documents will complicate any defense strategy. When both sides agree, pay attention. Constitutional law professor at Harvard, Lawrence Tribe, notes the broader implications. We're seeing transparency versus privilege arguments that'll define campaign finance enforcement. That's the legal battle. But there's another layer. Former Republican National Committee Chief Counsel John Ryder points out, every campaign faces document requests. What matters is response pattern, meaning it's not the requests, it's how you handle them. Consensus among legal analysts. Documents show extensive legal coordination. Timeline raises legitimate questions. Nothing proven criminal yet, That's where professionals land. Criminal defense attorney and legal commentator Ellie Honig adds perspective. Prosecutors build cases on patterns. Individual acts might be defensible. Patterns are harder. The pattern here: repeated delays, entity restructuring, communication management. Each element alone, potentially innocent. Together, creates narrative prosecutors can work with. Former DOJ official with 18 years in public corruption cases, Matthew Axelrod. Discovery phase is where these cases get made or broken. We're still in discovery. More documents could emerge, could clarify, could complicate. Nobody knows yet. What experts do know, these 47 pages won't be the last filing. Campaign finance investigations generate thousands of pages. We've seen 47. If this helps, hit like. Matters. Why should you care? Real talk, how this affects actual people. Money. If you donate to political campaigns, pay attention. How your money gets used is changing. Numbers. Federal Election Commission updated disclosure rules after 2024 investigations affected 127 campaigns. Your wallet. Donations over $200 now face additional tracking requirements. What's some people doing? Giving to multiple smaller entities instead of one campaign. Not advice, just what I'm seeing. Precedent. This sets a precedent. Next time you think political donations are anonymous, rules changed. Quick example. You donate $500 to a candidate. That money goes through an LLC. LLC dissolves. Your donation record gets complicated during an audit. Not dramatic, that's how this works now. Federal investigators can request records from dissolved entities. They're doing it. Who's affected? Right now, approximately 240,000 campaign donors from 2024 election cycle dealing with enhanced documentation requests. Political consultants already restructuring how they handle client money. Hits anyone involved in campaign finance. Donors, consultants, treasurers, attorneys. What nobody wants to say. Uncomfortable part. If you worked on a major campaign in 2024, your communications might be subject to subpoena. If you're a major donor who contributed through multiple entities, investigators might review your pattern. Not trying to scare you, that's what documents suggest. The Bondi leak showed investigators aren't just looking at candidates, they're mapping entire networks. Your name doesn't have to be on a candidate filing to be in the data. Practical. What informed people doing? Consulting campaign finance attorneys before making large donations. Requesting documentation of how their contributions are being used. Asking, will these records be subject to federal oversight? Knowledge helps. Broader impact. This isn't just about Trump or Bondi. Campaign finance enforcement is changing. More aggressive, more detailed. Both parties affected. 2024 saw investigations into Democratic and Republican operations. The legal landscape is shifting. If you care about transparency in politics, this matters. More disclosure. If you care about privacy in political participation, this also matters. Less anonymity. Both true simultaneously. Your data. Here's something most people don't think about. When you donate online, that transaction creates a record. Email confirmation, credit card statement, campaign database entry. Federal investigators can access all of it with proper legal authority. Bond's documents showed how investigators traced donor patterns across state lines, multiple entities, different time periods. Technology makes that possible now. 30 years ago, this level of investigation would have taken months. Now, weeks. If you've donated to political causes, your transaction data exists somewhere. Whether it gets examined depends on whether the campaign you supported becomes subject to investigation. You don't control that. What you can control, understanding the system. How'd Trump respond? Made it worse. Honestly, instead of legal statement, went personal. Truth Social posts attacking Bondi directly. Quote, after everything I did for her, she caves like a coward. Reaction? Legal experts warned against personal attacks on cooperating witnesses. 3 major news networks led with the "Pam the backstabber" quote. His lawyers tried damage control. Released official statement hours later. More measured. "We maintain all activities were lawful and properly disclosed." Too late. The personal attack already dominated coverage. Bondi's legal team came back. "Our client complied with federal subpoena as required by law." Direct, professional, no personal response. Then, Tuesday afternoon, another development. Trump's campaign finance attorney filed motion to seal portions of additional documents scheduled for release. Motion argues irrelevant personal communications and attorney-client privilege. Judge hasn't ruled yet. But here's what happened next. 2 other former officials from the campaign issued statements. Both distanced themselves from Trump's characterization. One said, "We're cooperating fully with investigators." Another, "This is a legal matter, not a political one." Defense fracturing. Some want to fight, others want to cooperate. Not cooling down, heating up. Because Wednesday morning brought news. Federal prosecutors scheduled depositions for 11 additional former campaign officials between May 12th and May 23rd. That's next week through the week after. What's still unclear? 1. What's in the documents still under seal? Court filings mention 89 additional pages marked pending review. 2. Whether other officials will follow Bondi's cooperation model. Coming. Federal judge has preliminary hearing scheduled May 9th, 3 days out. Motion to seal will be argued. Decision could affect what gets released next. Trump's legal team reportedly preparing comprehensive response filing due May 14th. Bondi's attorney preparing for deposition scheduled May 16th. Other depositions follow. May 12th, campaign treasurer. May 15th, Nevada consulting firm founder. May 19th, Delaware LLC registered agent. May 23rd, chief compliance officer. Date to watch, May 16th. Bondi's deposition is under oath. Transcripts typically become public within weeks. What she says then could determine direction of investigation. Prosecutors usually save key witnesses for strategic timing. They scheduled her mid-sequence. After treasurer, before compliance officer. That's deliberate. She'll be asked about information from earlier depositions. Her answers will shape questions for later ones. Should know more by May 20th. That's when preliminary hearing transcripts typically get released. Subscribe. I'll cover the update when it drops. Where we are right now. 47 pages public, 89 pages sealed, pending review. Trump posted 6 Truth Social attacks on Bondi since Monday. 11 depositions scheduled over next 3 weeks. Scheduled May 9th, preliminary hearing on sealing motion. May 14th, Trump legal team response filing deadline. May 16th, Bondi deposition. May 23rd, final scheduled deposition in current phase. Not public yet, results of Delaware LLC financial audit. Federal investigators requested those records April 28th. Standard review period is 30 days. That puts results around May 28th. Nevada consulting firm dissolution is complete, but corporate records are being preserved under court order. Investigators can access them. Campaign treasurer who was placed on administrative leave still hasn't returned to work. No public comment from that individual. Legal experts watching say next phase depends entirely on deposition testimony. Cooperative witnesses change everything. If officials contradict each other under oath, prosecutors have leverage. If they align, defense gets stronger. Clock's running. May 16th matters. That's where we are. Trump, attacking former allies publicly, fighting in court privately. Bond, cooperating with investigators, staying quiet publicly. Surface read, political drama. But follow the documents. They show coordination, timing, legal strategy. Watch the deposition schedule. Sequential questioning reveals prosecution theory. Legal analysts I've talked to, they're not focused on the angry tweets. They're focused on who's testifying when. Because here's what history shows. Campaign finance cases get made during depositions. Witnesses under oath either support each other or contradict each other. Contradictions create opportunities for prosecutors. I'll be watching the May 16th deposition transcript. That'll show whether Bond provides new information or confirms what's already in documents. Story's not over. Still developing. We're in the document phase now. Next comes testimony phase. Then prosecutors decide whether to charge. That process takes months. Subscribe for the full picture, not just headlines. When documents drop, I'll break them down. When depositions become public, we'll go through them. This is how these stories actually unfold. Slowly, then all at once. Talk soon.